What's to be discovered when a veteran Aussie war correspondent takes you down to his basement underneath his modest suburban home? It's like entering a time capsule, walking back from his quiet life today, back into the amazing past he once lived. There are boxes down here that he hasn't opened for years. And it's over 50 years since Hugh Lund was in some of the world's hottest spots. Hugh was just 25 years old when he found himself in Vietnam working as a war correspondent for one of the world's top news agencies, Reuters of London. What was he doing there? Driven by conscience, a compulsion to bear witness to madness maybe, but also by the crazy, brave nature of a certain type of young Australian of those days. Hugh was of a breed, and in the record of what he was is in these dusty boxes.
That's the look Din said showed he not long-lived man.
After losing 4 journalist colleagues, Hugh came to a point where he wanted out, somewhere quieter. Strange as it sounds, his ticket out was a haircut. And the place he got to go, just a few hours away by plane from Saigon, into a country that would be just as dangerous, if not more so.
The boss of the office said that he would send me as the Reuters correspondent in Indonesia if I got a haircut. He was a Korean.
Well, you had long blonde hair.
Yeah. Well, that was what you had in those days, and Singapore didn't like it, and the boss didn't like it, but I didn't think it meant much. But so I got a haircut, and I got sent as the Reuters correspondent in Indonesia. That's my office in Jakarta. You're incredibly isolated, and yet it's a huge country, and thousands and thousands and thousands of islands, and a tremendously murderous history, if you like, from the September 30 supposed communist coup. People argue about that, where some people say 1 million were killed. Saigon was nowhere near as hot as Jakarta, and Jakarta was dusty. And when I arrived, I knew the secretary of the ambassador from Brisbane, and she said, "Get yourself some Intravioform, you'll get terrible stomach upsets here." And I said, "Look, I've been in China, I've been up there, and I've got a cast iron gut." 4 days later, I crawled on my hands and knees to the phone to ring her up, and she arrived with Intravioform, and so it was a tough introduction. And I had 5 servants, and I said, "I don't need all these servants." He said, "But they need you." And so I moved in. I had a driver and a car because that was their income. You know, the main things everyone, Westerners did was go to cocktail parties. And I got talking to her, and anyway, blow me down. She said, "Oh yes, I was talking to my relative, and I said about West Papua, and she said, 'Oh yeah, that's where all the fighting's going on at the moment.' And I said, 'Oh, well, yeah, there is, yeah.' And she said, 'Yes, it's amazing, dropping all those paratroopers.' 'Oh, is that right?' And she'd sort of let the cat out of the bag without really knowing. Now, if you're a reporter, you get excited, and that they had dropped 800 combat paratroopers in to put down a rebellion, and the rebels, the OPM, Free Papua Movement rebels, had blocked the airstrip. Anyway, I wrote this story, and it was the whole of the front page of all the Asian papers. No one else gave us stuff. I realised the biggest story that was going to happen in my time in Indonesia was Indonesia taking over this country, or trying to, the act of free choice.
West Papua is just 150 kilometres from the Australian mainland, making it Australia's nearest neighbour. And yet most Australians know more about the surface of the moon than they know about West Papua.